Are you wanting Modern Warfare 2 going from looking like this to this? Then look no further. I'm going to run you through all the best graphic settings to not only make your game look as visually stunning as possible, not only that, I'm going to be making your frame rate as high as possible. So let's jump straight into the display settings and go over to quality. But make sure you're waiting around to the end of the video because there's a secret new setting that they have added to the game that's going to make your game look so much more visually stunning. Now heading over to the graphic settings, we're going to be going over to the quality settings, but just bear in mind, I am running this game in 1440p, so my game is going to look a little bit different from yours. I suspect you're going to be running 1080p. This is why I have NVIDIA DLSS on, because it just allows for upscaling into that 1440p at a much better frame rate. Likely, you probably want to be turning Fidelity CAS on, as this just allows better frames on 1080p. So looking at the actual details and textures, turn texture resolution down to low, unless you've got a very good GPU. I mean, I'm still running a 3060 Ti, and for the competitive settings and the best frames possible, I think low is the way to go. If you aren't wanting it to look that little bit more visually stunning, then you can turn it up. As you can see by the little bar down here, just watch how much it jumps up and down by just changing it even to medium or to high. Very low doesn't look great and you don't lose many frames, so stick with low. And then over to the texture filter, we're going to be changing this to high, as it just makes your game look a lot better. And then onto nearby level of detail, we'll change that to high. Distant level of detail down to low, and then over to cluster draw distance, we're changing that to short, and then particle quality we're changing to high, and then particle quality level down to normal, and then bullet impacts and sprays to on, and then shader quality down to low. And now looking at tessellation, we're changing that to completely off, and then over to terrain memory, we're changing that to max, and then over to on-demand texture streaming, we're changing that to off. And then over to streaming quality, change that to normal, volumetric quality down to low, deferred physics quality to off, water acoustics off, and then shadow map resolution very low, screen space shadows, we're changing that to off, spot shadow quality to off, spot cache low, particle lighting low, ambient occlusion off, screen space reflections off, static reflection quality to high, weather grid volumes to low, NVIDIA reflex low latency to on, depth of field off, world motion blur off, weapon motion blur off, and then film grain off as well. And then just heading over to field of view, you either want to be changing this all the way up to 120 like I've got here, or down to 110. 110 will give you a little bit better frames and just scope things in a little bit. But I've got quite a big monitor, so I think 120 does perfectly well for me. And you also want to be changing your ADS field of view to affected from independent. Weapon field of view, I've got it on wide, as it actually narrows the amount of your screen that your weapon takes up, ultimately just giving you that better field of view like we're doing with the field of view over here. These last two we don't really need to worry about, as I don't plan to play in third person mode. And then over to camera, we want to be changing first person camera movement all the way down to least. This is just going to stop your screen shaking about as much, so that's really useful. So to make sure you're making use of the new setting they've added to the game, head over to your settings, then go down to interface, then head over to color customization. Then you want to be changing the game to color filter 1 from none, and then you want to be cranking the world color intensity all the way up to 85 and interface color intensity all the way up to 100. You then also want to be probably changing your enemy color all the way to like a bright color. I've gone with bright pink because it's going to stand out massively from the map and it's not going to clash with anything. But if you wanted to know the best audio settings in Modern Warfare 2, click on the video on screen now. But if you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and turn the notifications bell on.